It's October, season of spooks, month of monsters, and one of my favourite times of the year. In celebration, I'll be doing a series of short videos, quick looks at some of my favourite horror-themed media. For me, horror has always been about atmosphere over shock value, dread, unease, and discomfort over jump scares. That feeling of morbid curiosity where we have to know what happens next, but we don't dare to look. And it's media that evokes these feelings that I'll be exploring this month. Some will be your more typical horror. Some may be more light-hearted experiences, while still retaining that heavy horror influence. As a heads up, there will be minor spoilers, but I won't spoil the endings of anything I talk about. Today, I'm going to talk about one of my favorite animated horrors, Yamishibai.
寄ってらっしゃい、見てらっしゃい。闇芝居の時間だよ。
Yamishibai is a series of Japanese short horror stories covering the likes of urban legend, folklore, and the supernatural. Borrowing its name from Kamishibai, literally meaning paper play, an art of Japanese storytelling with paper scrolls or slides in a portable theatre. Popular during 1930s and post-war Japan, but dating as far back as the 12th century. Yamishibai brings the art into the modern era, switching kami, meaning paper, for yami, meaning dark. A wonderfully appropriate play on words, as Yamishibai is indeed just that. A wonderfully dark series of short horror tales with beautiful papercraft-style animation. Each roughly 4 to 5 minute episode tells a different story of misfortune befalling a poor soul. Covering everything from ghosts to grudges, hauntings to horrors, it is truly a journey into the weird and woeful. As you would imagine, the paper cut-out style animation is fairly simplistic, which works surprisingly well to the show's advantage, its lingering still frames being a great source of tension and dread. When necessary, higher detailed shots or more heavily animated scenes are used. Chosen with careful timing, they allow the show's more frightful moments to really pop. The show's colour palette is often pretty muted, allowing its occasional use of bolder colours to be incredibly striking, and with the use of filters really keeps that old-timey feel like watching some time-worn piece of film or some long-forgotten horror. To compensate for the static imagery, Yamishibai's sound design is really in a class of its own, background music being used sparingly, only in calmer moments. In its place, ambient background noises of bustling crowds or nature which feel slightly out of place juxtaposed with the show's often empty and static environments. Everything from the sounds of footsteps to breathing to the movement of objects are uncomfortably crisp. Not only cleverly bolstering the story the simple animation is telling, but against the often quiet background they create this brilliant feeling of isolation, adding to the show's already chilling atmosphere. I also want to take a moment to praise the show's wonderfully creepy narrator, whose monotone yet foreboding dialogue always serves to set the scene perfectly. Yamishibai also makes a choice with its art direction I really respect. It doesn't show too much. It doesn't feel the need to constantly shock its audience visually. It uses its truly horrific scenes sparingly. Rarely is it we witness the fate of our unfortunate protagonists. However, that's not to say we're left in some cheap suspense ending. We are given more than enough information to know full well what happens after the stage shutter slams closed. It's this method that makes many of Yamishibai's stories stick in our heads. Rather than being shown one person or one animation team's vision, we are left with the tools to create our own. Something potentially more personally horrifying to the viewer, and as such much more likely to linger long after the episode has concluded. The show has been running since 2013. Currently in its 5th season, totaling 65 episodes, it's perfect for binge-watching, or for spacing out over the month whenever you have 5 minutes for a good fright. For a modern-made horror, it's certainly one of the most uniquely charming pieces of animation I've ever experienced, and one that never fails to leave a chill down my spine.
おしまい。